Hello! So nobody showed up for the Bible study, so I'm just gonna record this little solo video, and hopefully everybody can make it next Wednesday. So I was thinking, to start every Bible study, I'd like to start it with like a quick breathing exercise. Hello, bunny. And then like a little worship song. Seeing that this is gonna be like a little solo thing, I can't really like add music because it's all off on my phone, so I'm just gonna sing it. So we're just gonna start. So we're gonna do quick breathing exercise. All right. So we're just inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Okay. For the worship song, I want it to be like kind of a quiet, meditative song. Feel free to sing along if you know the words, but otherwise, just kind of, in that meditative stance and just like reflect on the words, I guess. Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant through the trial and the change, one thing remains. Yes, one thing remains. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. It never fails, never runs out on me. As on and on and on and on it goes. It overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I never ever have to be afraid. As one thing remains. Yes, one thing remains. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me, oh Lord. In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Oh, on and on, your love goes on and on. Sing, your love goes on and on and on, goes on and on and on. Your love, I kind of missed this part, but anyways. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me, oh Lord. Love never fails. It's been a minute since I've sang that song. God, thank you for making me do this, and I just want to hope that my little speechy thing reflects your mind. And I also pray that by doing this, maybe I get a little bit better at prayer. I don't know. And I just pray that you're with me in this time, and I pray for everyone who wasn't able to make it to the Bible study for whatever reason. I just pray that they are able to do it next time, so I can have some company in this, because that was kind of the whole point of this. Until then, gotta make do. Alright, in Jesus' name, amen. So, we are going to be reading Genesis 1, because nobody else really had any other suggestions, and I'm kind of somebody that likes to read things from front to cover, front to back, that's what I'm trying to say. So, we're just going to start. I'm reading the ESV translation for anyone who's wondering. So here we go. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that light, and saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the other waters." And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. So you know how there's like moisture in the air, so it's like that. So it's like solid water and then misty water. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. Excuse me. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants, yielding seed, and fruit trees, and bearing fruit in which their seed, each according to its kind on the earth." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. There was evening and there was morning in the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be the signs for the seasons, and for days and years. And let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters swim, and with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens." So God created the great sea creatures, and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds multiply in the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish and the seas, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the sea, over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed and its fruit. You shall have them for food, and to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has breath, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Yeah, so that's the end of chapter 6. So there's no real theme to what I have to say about this chapter. I got a lot of interesting tidbits from the internet and just kind of listed them. I don't think it super needs to be one big flowy piece, but I guess we'll see what you guys think about that. So let's start with the basic order of Genesis. So the first we had, let me make sure I've got my notes in order. Yes. Okay. So, starting with the basic order of Genesis, we first had the creation of light as well as day and night, which could also mean creation of time and energy, because energy is pretty much light. That's kind of the same thing, I think. I don't know. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing. And then after that, we have the forming of planets and putting plants on the land, and then creating the sun and moon, and then the fish and birds, and then the other animals, and then finally humans. The Big Bang, by comparison, has that energy expansion. It's not really explosion, because things don't just like explode. It was more of like an expansion and that time starting. And then there was the stars, and then the galaxies start forming around the suns, and then the moons and the planets start forming, and the oceans and lands develop. Single-celled life forms emerge and evolve into fish and plants, and then dinosaurs start existing, and then eventually humans. So you'll notice that the Big Bang and Genesis aren't completely the same, but they are similar. They both start with energy and time, and there's more of a focus on developing the cosmos first, and then life follows afterwards, and essentially the same pattern, like plants, fish, and birds, or dinosaurs, because fish and birds are basically dinosaurs. And then you have beasts, and then humans. I think the only real difference is, between the two, is the plants came before the stars, planets, and moons fully formed. Though I do wonder what is meant by plants. The first life form is considered to be bacteria and viruses, which could have developed before our solar system came into place and attached to the sun. They're just hanging out on some asteroid or something. Again, I'm not an astrophysicist, so if somebody would like to enlighten me on that, go for it. But also keep in mind, this was probably written by Moses at the earliest, and I'm not sure if anyone really knew what bacteria was back then, and perhaps they misidentified it as plants. There's no real way to tell how Hebrews got the knowledge of creation, whether it was an oral tradition, if God told them verbally, or if they were given a vision of some kind and then just interpreted it, or maybe there is a way to know. Again, I'm not a theologian, not a scientist, so possibly there is an idea of where they got the information from, but generally speaking, from what I've heard from theologians, it's very God kind of lets them kind of know what's going on, and then they kind of interpret that in their own way. So but either way, it is I think it's very interesting how similar the Big Bang and Genesis are, like, timeline-wise. So just throwing that out there. So I'm going to move on to the commentaries I looked at before doing this Bible study. The Bible Project on YouTube, which is very, very nicely animated. So I recommend you check it out. They make note that heaven and earth, that the heaven and earth part in verse 1 refers to the sky and land. It's not like the heaven and the earth globe, you know, that's just like, this is going to be the sky and this is going to be like some dirt. So like just kind of separating that out. And then God's Spirit hovered over this dark abyss of formless nothing, just ready to create, like planning to. And then the first 3 days, God organized the cosmos, gathering and forming particles into planets and stars. And then in the last 3 days, he put life into them. So God called every one of his creations good, and he called humans very good, as they were his image bearers. Not that we physically look like him. You know, God is a formless something, whatever. We don't even know for sure. But it's more, we are capable of a higher love and intelligence. And oh my God, with the motorcycles. We are capable of a higher love and intelligence than the rest of creation. We are the co-rulers of God's creation, representations of him, appointed and set aside by God as special. And then theologyofwork.org makes note that God speaks things into existence. You know, the word became flesh. That's a spoiler for later, but you know, it's the word. God also refers to himself as us. Let us make man in our own image, which is evidence of the Trinity. There's also this idea that God sees no separation between the spiritual and material world. In verse 2, when the Spirit of God hovers over the darkness, the word spirit comes from the Hebrew word ruah, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which can also mean breath or wind. So it's like a very physically tangible noun. And it can also mean like a very like metaphysical, like it's a spirit, you know. So in Genesis, it's like kind of painting this picture that the spiritual and material world are blended together. Again with the motorcycles. I don't know why they come here. Go home. In Genesis, the spiritual and material world are blended in together and work in harmony with each other. God doesn't put one above the other. They're both important. Something to keep in mind for those who do put one over the other. You know, when Jesus comes back, he's not going to bring us to some spiritual realm and we're just going to be like spirit ghost things forever. He is going to be bringing harmony and order to the material and spiritual world. We will continue to live in a physical world that reflects what God created in the beginning, where both the spiritual and the material are balanced and ordered as they should be. It's a return to this Eden, except this time everyone chooses to stay there. Like, we're not going to be eating any weird fruit this time, and it's probably going to be expanded into like a global, maybe even intergalactic Eden. We'll see, who knows. But moving on, another fun thing in Genesis is this idea of a chaos monster in the sea, or a Leviathan being made by God. You probably don't see that in your translation, but you know, when God's creating the birds and the fish, or like the sea creatures, the word for like fish or sea creature can also mean sea dragon. There's some conspiracy theorists that think that this is the same beast in Psalm 74 and in Revelation, which ultimately gets defeated by God, and some use that to prove the existence of such a creature. However, on the Naked Bible podcast by Dr. Michael Heiser, who has a PhD in Semitic languages and a master's in ancient history, is quick to point out that this Leviathan is more symbolic. Ancient people saw the sea as dark and chaotic and unlivable and mysterious and dangerous. So they would often use a symbolic sea dragon as a way to personify chaotic darkness. So it was less abstract. Ancient Hebrew people like to be very literal back then. Often when you see a reference to a sea monster in the Bible, it's actually just a symbol or like a metaphor of chaotic evil, not like a literal sea monster. And God, who generally defeats the sea monster, is really defeating chaotic evil and establishing his calm and perfect order over it. So Heiser then goes on to point out that while Genesis 1 is really just saying that God made fish and birds, it also works as a jab towards Canaanite religion, which is likely why that word with like the double meanings was used. In Canaanite religion at the time Genesis was written, they worshipped Baal. I'm pretty sure it's Baal. It's been a minute since I've heard it. But they worship Baal, the god of life, who sees divine kingship from Yam. I'm going to go with Yam, god of the sea. Hebrew writers were basically trying to imply like our God like created your sea god, which is evil anyways, and our God didn't even need to fight him for control because he already had dominion over him, just like he does over Baal too. So Heiser also adds that when Genesis says that God spoke things into existence, that was a jab at the Egyptian religion, which is the only other religion of that time and place that has a God that could speak things into existence. And they're basically saying, you stole that idea from us, and we did it better because it was our original idea. In fact, the first 11-ish chapters of Genesis were attempting to set the record straight on creation and jabbing at all the other religions in the process. So that's fun, sassy ancient Hebrews. Yeah, that's just a fun little story about Genesis. Personally, I get a sense of God's creative side as well as this feeling of a job well done. God wanted something done, so he did it. And I appreciate that go-getter attitude. I also love how God had the sense to look back at his work, and with this sense of righteous pride, we're often always chasing after the next big thing without ever stopping to appreciate how far we've come. What we have right now, it is good. It's not about stopping forever at one point, that's good enough. No, it's just every day being able to recognize your progress and appreciating where you are now. Even when all God had was some light and darkness, even when the cosmos were still a mess, there's still so much that needs to be done, he saw his simple light and he saw that it was good. Just that little bit of light was worthy of God's appreciation. Keep in mind too, it wasn't just a minute of self-reflection. The first 6 days weren't literal 24-hour days. I hope we're all on the same page on that. It was just, they lasted millions and billions of years in God's time, or in our time. In God's time, it was a day. But either way, God took time to bask in the glory of his creation in each period of time, no matter how far along he was in the creation process, before moving on to the next thing when it was time to do so. That's the first thing God taught us: work and rest, and make time for both, and both are important. And in that rest, admire how far you've come. Admire the things God has done in your life to bring you to this point, even if all you have is a little bit of light separated from the darkness. It is good. Not good enough, it's good. Simply good. And even on the off chance that you feel you mess something up, God has the power to fix it with a word. He will fix it, and he did fix it. Okay, and that's pretty much all I got for Genesis. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section of this video that I'm gonna post on YouTube, or you could just text me, because it's probably just gonna be the people who have my contact information looking at this. So there's that. So the next thing I wanted to do after doing my little thing, I did want to leave space for any questions or comments that you wanted to add to that about the passage. But I also wanted to make space if you had like a question about something else, in general. I think it's really important, especially in like a Bible study, to leave room for like questions and discussions and like other points of view, and just like make it like a discussion, like I want to make space for that. So there's that. Because I'm the only one here though, like I pretty much know everything that I know. So if you guys had anything, just let me know in the comments or just text me. I don't know. And my plan was, if there, assuming there was people here and there were questions, and I couldn't answer them in that time, and it required like a little bit more research on my end, I would write it down in this like little handy Bible notes thing that I got, little journal specifically for this study, and next time I would address it before continuing. I'd probably do it right before the teaching for the next chapter. So so your questions will be answered if you have them, even if I don't have the answer like right then. So we're gonna move on to prayers, a prayer request of sorts. I also have it's so pretty. I can't wait for you guys to see it real quick, because it's really fun. But I got this prayer journal, and I just want to also make space for praying for things that you need, or praying for things like like thanking God for something, like I think a lot of times people use prayer as like I need this and I need that and I need that. Like I think it's also important to recognize like the good things that God has already given you and being thankful for that. So again, if there's any like prayer requests out there, good or bad, you need something, or you just want to be thankful for something, let me know. So one of the people that I knew for a fact wasn't going to be coming because she had some health issues, she let me know beforehand that she wanted to pray for that. I'm not gonna say her name because I'm gonna post this on a public YouTube channel, but I'm gonna be doing that, and we're gonna do that now. So okay. So good at praying. Okay, so God, thank you for this time. Thank you for helping me get through this video mostly okay. Hopefully all the audio was good, because again, it's just I'm on my phone in a parking lot, so I'm just praying that was all captured effectively, because I really don't want to have to do that again. Yes, thank you for making this time for learning about you and like this fellowship. Even though this first meeting is going to be online, I still want to it still counts. So thank you for everyone who has watched this video and has been engaged by it, and I just pray that you help me to further engage with people and all that. I'd also like to pray. I actually have two friends. Actually, there's two people that couldn't come because of health reasons, so I'd like to pray for both of them. So please help my two lovely friends, help them to heal of their ailments, remind them of your presence and control in their situation. Let them know all the pain that they're going through is both purpose-filled and temporary. Keep her sights set on you and reveal to them the way out, either physically, spiritually, or emotionally. Keep her from being discouraged with your love and care. And thank you for bringing such strong people into my life. And thank you for putting such wonderful Christian people into my life, even though they're not very good at showing up to Bible studies. But it's not their fault. They have health issues. So please heal them so that they can come to the next Bible study and we can all be here together. All right. Thank you and amen. And now there's like one more thing I wanted to do, a little fun thing. I like, I think at the beginning of this sermon, I want people to be in like more of like a meditative kind of listening kind of mood, and I just, so that's why like the first song is more of like a quiet, like we're just slowing down, we're here to reflect on God, and we're here to learn about God, and that's kind of like the mode, like just kind of slowing down and just like praising God, worshiping God, learning about God, and just like that fellowship. So but at the end I wanted to do more of like a loud song that's like more fun and like kind of gets your like blood flowing up a little bit, because I want people leaving with like adrenaline pumping and like just feeling like filled by the Spirit. So when they're like leaving, they have this like excitement to like go out into the world and like do good Christian things, whatever that is, and just spreading the love of God to other people. So this is going to be the hype song that we end with. Again, I can't really normally I would just like play it off of my phone, but I can't because I'm in the middle of recording. So I'm just going to sing it, and I'm going to try to make it upbeat, but like I don't, like, it's, bear with me. From the highest of depths and the depths of the sea, creation's revealing your majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim. You are amazing, God. Who told every lightning bolt where it should go, or seen heavenly storehouses laden with snow? Who imagined the sun and gives source to its light, yet conceals it to bring us the coolness of night? None can fathom, indescribable, uncontainable.